Peace talks on Ukraine may be on the table, but Moscow says Washington is playing a double game. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is accusing the United States of publicly talking peace, while privately escalating pressure on Russia and its partners through sanctions, trade coercion, and financial warfare. Lavrov says the US is not just targeting Moscow, but bullying countries across the BRICS bloc and the Global South into cutting ties with Russia.
The Americans have essentially declared their goal of economic dominance. Tariffs, sanctions, outright bans, and even prohibiting some from communicating. They're banning the operations of Russian oil companies like Lukoil and Rosneft, and they're trying to control our trade, our investment cooperation, and our military technical ties with our largest strategic partners, like India, for example, and other BRICS members.
Lavrov says Washington has turned global finance into a battlefield. He accuses the US of weaponizing the dollar and hijacking Western-controlled institutions to punish countries that refuse to follow Washington's political line. According to Moscow, this is not competition, but coercion aimed at stopping the rise of alternative power centers like BRICS.
The US, under Biden, did everything to make the dollar a weapon against those it didn't like. The rules the West devised and implemented in the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the World Trade Organization are now being used to suppress competitors. When new growth centers began to achieve more significant economic development results, the West began looking for ways to prevent this transition.
Lavrov also took direct aim at Donald Trump's administration. Moscow says, while Trump talks about ending the war in Ukraine and opening a path to cooperation, the US continues to extend Biden-era emergency laws and maintains sanctions designed to punish Russia and intimidate its partners. The Kremlin says this exposes Washington's peace messaging as hollow.
Despite all the statements we've heard from the US administration about ending the war Biden unleashed in Ukraine, sanctions against Russia remain in effect. This is all pure Bidenism, which Trump and his team reject. But nevertheless, they calmly extended the law. In April, the state of emergency law was extended. Its core is punishing Russia, imposing sanctions against it, including freezing our gold and foreign exchange reserves.
Lavrov accused Washington of turning Europe's energy crisis into an American business opportunity. He says the US is forcing Europe to abandon Russian energy and buy expensive American gas instead, using the Ukraine war to lock Europe into US-controlled energy dependence. Moscow says this is economic pressure disguised as alliance politics.
Europe has long been banned from buying Russian energy. It's being forced to buy American liquefied natural gas at triple the price, paying for it. In other words, in the economic arena, the Americans have essentially declared their goal of economic dominance.
Lavrov claims Washington is moving beyond sanctions to seize control of global energy routes. He accuses the US of exploiting the sabotage of Nord Stream and trying to dominate pipeline networks supplying Europe and Asia, turning energy security into a geopolitical weapon. Moscow says this is part of a wider campaign to block independent energy partnerships across BRICS and Eurasia.